How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Flesheater from 1988. This is directed by Bill Hinzman and stars John Mowod, Ann Wick, Kevin Kindein, and of course, Bill Hinzman right there as the Flesheater himself. And I guess I should get a quick explanation out of the way. For those of you guys who don't know, Bill Hinzman was the actor that played the very first Romero zombie that we ever saw on screen. Remember that scene in the graveyard? They're coming to get you, Barbara. Look, there's one of them now. That was him. So the whole gimmick with this movie is the very first Romero zombie is directing and starring in his very own zombie movie. I think he did a bunch of other stuff, like I think he was also one of the writers and one of the producers. So this is very much his passion project. And that's a really cool, interesting bit of trivia for this movie. The movie itself, though, let's just say it's not high art, but I did have a ton of fun with it. This is a super cheesy zombie movie. It kind of starts off like a cheesy 80s slasher movie, but then as the people die, but also turn, the numbers start to grow, and then eventually you do get a proper zombie movie that in some way mirrors Night of the Living Dead. And overall, this was one that, again, super cheesy, but I definitely had a fun time with. Before we get too far into this, though, what's the movie about? No major spoilers, focusing primarily on setup, but let's talk about the plot of this thing. Basically, the idea here is we get a group of partying kids. They've paid the owner of a Halloween hayride to drive them on his tractor deep into the woods so they can camp out for Halloween night. They have their campfires, they tell some legends. They're going to drink beers, party, and of course sneak off a couple at a time to have sex in the woods. As you do, they very much feel like Friday the 13th characters. Well, nearby a farmer is trying to pull a tree trunk out of his land when he discovers a coffin buried in the ground. It has a mysterious inscription on it, and when he opens it up, there's Bill Hinzman himself, dressed in his suit just like we saw him in Night of the Living Dead. He pops out, he eats this guy, and then the two of them, now both zombies, go out and look for some more meals. They'll eventually stumble across the kids camping in the woods. They'll start to run away. Some of them will make it to a nearby farmhouse. A very Night of the Living Dead-esque farmhouse. But of course, this is part of a small farming village, and we'll get to see people in the other houses. A house where people are preparing to trick-or-treat, a house where they're having a Halloween party and we get a bunch of people in costume, and of course the zombies will make their way into this little village and grow in numbers. And I guess I do want to say, the structure for this movie kinda does have some pros and cons. I really do like getting to see all of the zombies and where they came from. Bill Hinzman is the only zombie in this movie that we don't get to see as a human first. And other than that, every single one, we get to see where the zombies came from, and we get to see all the details as people turn and they build up their army. I really did like that. I also like that Hinzman gets to be like the alpha zombie. He's stronger and smarter than the other zombies, and it's cool to have zombies with a leader. But that being said, it really does seem like the zombies are kind of the main character. Like, this is how you structure a story to see the rise of the zombies, because as far as the humans go, the plot structure leaves a lot to be desired. Out of that original campfire group, two of them are, I guess, our main characters, but we don't really get to know them necessarily super well, and it doesn't really even feel like the movie's about them. So many characters will come in just to die a moment later, and the movie does jump from random sequence to random sequence. So yeah, as far as the plot goes, it really is messy and all over the place. But again, one could argue that the real zombie apocalypse would be like this. Random and chaotic, And if the movie's goal was to tell the story of the growth of a zombie army, well, this does a good job at that. As far as the Night of the Living Dead connection goes, I'm not sure if this is supposed to be the exact same character as in Night of the Living Dead. It's the same actor and he's dressed the same way. I guess you could say it's a prequel because it follows the initial zombie uprising. I was so hoping that the movie would end with him stumbling into a cemetery and then we hear Johnny say, "Look, there's one of them now." But it doesn't. That would have been a perfect ending, but it doesn't do that. Instead, what we get mainly are just like mirrored scenes and callbacks. Like, the opening shot of the car from Night of the Living Dead is mirrored with that hayride tractor. And then we also get the board up the farmhouse sequence, very reminiscent of Night of the Living Dead. The countryside seems to be about the same location. And we also get the classic motif of listening on the radio. So yeah, it does mirror Night of the Living Dead. I wish the two were tied together just a little bit more though. But whatever. This is more about having fun than anything else. As I said at the top, this really does feel like a Friday the 13th movie that happens to turn into a zombie apocalypse movie. We get lots of scenes with pretty bad acting in them. Not that I really want to call anyone out, but there's a scene where two characters sneak off and they're about to have sex, and the guy has this whole speech where he's like, "I'm not sure, this relationship's moving a little bit too fast." And I like trying to get a bit of character in there, but boy are all the lines in this scene delivered so stiff, it really doesn't work. Plus, these characters are about to get picked off anyway. The acting doesn't hold it up and the plot doesn't really care about them. We do get the occasional points where they try to put effort into some of the characters, but it really isn't supported. It's mostly standard 80s slasher stuff: drink, sex, party, die. And boy does it lean into this. But that being said, the random sequences, while random, do tend to be pretty fun and energetic. This kind of feels like the midpoint between Night of the Living Dead and Return of the Living Dead. I mean, the zombies have a weird tendency to accidentally rip women's tops off before they kill them. That's the kind of movie we're in for. So yeah, this isn't high art or anything, but boy, if you want a cheesy 80s movie, if you want a fun zombie movie, I think this would definitely be a really fun watch with a group of friends that like to watch cheesy movies. You could definitely have a fun time with this. So overall, yeah, it's technically not great, but it is so much cheesy fun. I can recommend it to the right crowd. But between the fun atmosphere and the trivia of Hinzman making his own movie, I do wish more people had talked about this one. It's really fun, and anyone who's a fan of Night of the Living Dead or cheesy 80s party movies in general, I definitely say check this one out. Don't expect the world, but expect a fun, cheesy little time there. Anyway, all that being said, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. If you guys want to see me talk about more movies kind of like this, feel free to click right here and see more. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very soon. Playlist here. Have a good day now.